Hello, this is Bee Fields, and I am one of the authors of Millennial Leaders Success Stories from Today's Most Brilliant Generation Y Leaders. And I want to talk with you about a topic today that I hear about from workers in the workforce, from employers, from parents, from even people in the ministry and community leaders. And it's the whole question or the whole topic of Generation Y being lazy, narcissistic, self-serving. It's all about me. And I want to just say that I'm going to say right up front that this is inappropriate. This is name calling at its best, and it is not doing one thing to help support or promote the efforts of this young generation of men and women between the ages of 18 and 30. A lot of employers are asking me, how do I attract this young workforce? And then in the second breath, they're calling them names. So the first step to this is stop calling them names. That's just the way it's got to be. And I ask you to think back to the time when you were a young leader. You were 18, 19, 20, 21, or maybe even in high school, and you overheard your parents calling you lazy, narcissistic, self-serving, the world's all about you. So the reality is that every generation sees the next generation as lazy, self-serving, and narcissistic. And here we have this new generation that's coming about who's very confident, very sure of themselves, and so does it look more lazy, more narcissistic? Yes, it appears that way. But the reality is that this generation is very hardworking. The difference is that they go about their work in a much more quiet, laid-back manner. They're very efficient and effective, and they are really big on teams. So while baby boomers love talking about how much they work and love being dramatic about it and love sighing about how hard we've worked and all that we've done, and I can say this because I'm a baby boomer, Generation Y doesn't go about it that way. They go about and get their work done, usually behind a closed door in front of a computer screen, and they're working very hard. If you haven't read our book, Millennial Leaders, I really recommend you pick it up because we've got 25 stories in that book about some of the most successful young leaders, and they did not get there by being lazy, narcissistic, and self-serving. And they got there by hard work and being a contribution to their communities. So this Generation Y is definitely different. They definitely have different political views, different buying habits, different ways of communicating. I totally understand that. And I really understand why people would say that this group seems to be lazy, narcissistic, and self-serving. But to me, that's just something we've always heard. We've always heard that about every generation. So if you want to connect with this audience, the first step that you're going to have to take is to stop calling them names. You've got to quit calling Gen Y names. You've got to understand that they have very heavy minds right now. They are concerned about our safety and security on an international scale. They are concerned about the environment. They are concerned about world hunger. They are concerned about our economy. Our economy is having all sorts of problems. They are concerned about things such as opening a bag of Doritos and it being poisoned. So there are a lot of things that they're worried about. So a lot of what you're seeing coming from Generation Y may be a reflection of the worry and the anxiety that's going on inside of Gen Y. I recently read a report that said that about 55% of college students are taking an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety drug because they've got a lot to deal with. They've got a lot to deal with in their future. So if you are listening to this today, or watching this video, I encourage you to take a step back and to understand that you also were called these names by your parents, and that it really does no good to view this generation in such a way, and the shift is from name calling to compassion. to having compassion for what this group of men and women are facing, to have compassion for the fact that they have been hovered over since they were age 5, pushed to be highly competitive, and that they have a lot going on. Or if you really want to attract them, and if you want to keep them around as a family member, if you want to keep them around as an employee, you've got to be able to start communicating with them and understanding where they're coming from. If Gen Y doesn't like that, they're going to check out. They're going to leave your company, they'll leave your family. And as I've told parents that say, well, my young adult daughter or son doesn't call me anymore. Well, why? Probably because you're calling them names. I mean, that's my thought, is you're being really tough on them and calling them names. So they're gonna move as far away as they can to get away from you. Okay? So, the goal today is, Sunday is a great day of reflection and worship for many people. People around the world have gone to church today. So because it is a Sunday, I encourage you to really take the time and get quiet and be thankful for Generation Y and what they're doing to improve our world. Because they're doing a lot of cool things, and if you haven't gone and checked it out to figure out what they're doing, I highly recommend you go start checking it out. And that's it for today. I do recommend that you stop by http://millennialleaders.com, check out what we're up to, and make it a great week. And I wish you a lot of success with your Generation Y sons and daughters, employees, and colleagues. And thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful week.